Hi, and thank you for tuning into this podcast. My name is Shay Douglas, and in this series, we explore community connection, optimal human potential, and transformational collective growth through inspiring conversations with a diverse range of people who are working towards a positive change in the world. I hope you enjoy this episode today, and if you would please take the time to like, share, and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate that. And I hope you enjoy. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited to be back here doing another live with my good friend Campbell from Breath Body Therapy. So excited to be here. Thanks for joining me, Campbell.
Mate, it's always a pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Happy to share the power of the breath.
So awesome. I love these chats. We've done a number of them now. You can access them through either of our YouTube channels or Facebook pages to just get a little update on what we've been chatting about. It's primarily been focused on breathing, which is kind of funny because it's like something that we all do. It's so important to our life, but not often that we really talk about our breathing. So it's a unique conversation, that is for sure. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper into that conversation. But before we do, I just wanted to share a couple of little exciting events coming up. The first one is next week's this time, which is 9 a.m. here in Australia, or 6 p.m. on a Wednesday in New York. Campbell and I are going to be hosting a free guided breathwork session that Campbell will guide you through. And it's just a little introductory into just following the breath, going deeper within, and I find now is the time that is the most relevant to be practicing conscious breathing. So join us next week for the free one. And I'm also going to share how awesome this 5-week course is that Campbell has created at the beginning rather than at the end. It's available on Earth Heroes. I'll show you a little share screen in a moment, but before we do that, today we're going to be asking questions and discussing if we can become immortal. We're going to look at human civilization and humanity and look at in relation to the other animal kingdoms and see if, you know, maybe we're the best or potentially the worst breathers in the animal kingdom. And also if we can really focus on expanding our lungs to enable us to expand our lives. So it's really going to be an awesome conversation. We've got about 15-20 minutes. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you are, please do like, share, and subscribe this video, because it does help us get this message out there to more people. It helps us, prolong our lives. It enables us to more vital, healthy, abundant lifestyle by just connecting to our breath and to this beautiful information that Campbell's going to share with us today. So just wanted to show you quickly, guys, while you're all here, the 5-week Fundamentals of Breath course with Campbell is available on Earth Heroes. This is what it looks like. It's really exciting. It's 5 weeks of great video content. Campbell has put together wonderful array of different techniques on deep breath awareness. So the first week is simple breath awareness. We go through a breath check, and then he offers so many great tools on coherence breathing and really understanding with the practices what it takes to breathe consciously and gain that self-regulation back into your own being. So, there's week 2 goes into the autonomic nervous system. Campbell really breaks these quite complex notions of understanding our physiology into very simple, understandable, and relatable terms that's easy to digest and quite fun, because it gives you the practices as well to dive into, as well as all the information. So you actually get to practice this over 5 weeks with Campbell, and he gives you all the support. Week 3 is breath mechanics. Looks going deeper into the volume breathing, the mobility, really opening up your diaphragm, yogic breath. Week 4 is respiratory physiology, and week 5, breath optimization. So there's plenty there, plenty of good stuff. A lot to dive into. It's all on Earth Heroes. You can check it out. But today we want to open up the conversation a little bit deeper into understanding the breath. Campbell's got some great insight, because it's like the breath is something that we do every day. And we just want to explore, is there a difference between practicing conscious breathing on your daily practice and your normal breath, as opposed to if you go to do this 5-week course, for example, or you go to a private breathwork session and you go through a guided breathwork journey? What is the difference there, Campbell? Can you explain a little bit how they differentiate and maybe how they're connected, but also what the purposes of those different breathing styles are?
Yeah, for sure. And so I really like to break it down into two sort of simple categories. One being sort of functional breathing. And this is how we should be breathing throughout the day, when we're at work, through light physical activity. Like, this is the 99%. And I think a lot of people jump into the next category we'll talk about before really understanding or optimizing just how to breathe day to day. Like, it's like learning to run before we walk. Right? We really want to get the basics down and to get those right. So that sort of functional breathing aspect is just learning a little bit about how breathing interacts with physiology, with nervous system, how you should be breathing at rest. And then we've got what I sort of term therapeutic breath work, which is really diving a little bit deeper, is we're using the breath as a lever to sort of hijack our way into the nervous system, to shift the physiology, to create shifts in the nervous system, and to access these so-called non-ordinary states of consciousness. So we don't want to breathe in a way that makes us feel pretty altered all of the time, but it's a very, very valuable therapeutic tool to understand that when I do ramp up the breath in a certain way and I involve my attention, my intention, then I can really access different parts of my body, different layers of my awareness. Things come up, old emotional stuff, where I'm holding tension. I get really, really beautiful insights and creative bursts. So this sort of more altered state of like using the breath as a tool, as a lever, rather than how should I be breathing day to day, minute to minute. And they're two very different things. And just the same way that you don't sprint everywhere, you walk. All right? It's a functional, efficient mode of transport. But when you need to sprint, you know how to do that as well. So I like to make that analogy, but walking, the functional breath work is how we walk around. It's how we get by. But we should also learn how to put the foot down and to access that altered state for that therapeutic benefit.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a really good point that you make. I like that analogy with the walker and the sprinter. So are you a walker or a sprinter in your life? Are you sprinting all the time, breathing deep, or?
It's actually really taught me. I used to be a sprinter. I used to be running everywhere. Most people that know me know I'm pretty go. And breathwork's taught me to walk again. Like, it's really slowed down the way I move through the day, because I've recognized that, like, you can't run at a really high level of energy all of the time. Well, you can, but there's going to be a negative effect to that. You have to take that energy from somewhere. So I've learned to stop sprinting so much, walk, and then sprint when I need to. So I still do have my sprint practice here and there, but I'm much more of a walker for my day to day.
Yeah, nice, man. That's something I've been practicing more recently as well, is a little bit of kind of Tai Chi incorporated in the breath in my morning practice, and slowing down the breath and synchronizing it with my movements. And I've found that through some of my breathwork practices with you, for example, and to incorporate that into a movement flow, I've been able to restore and rejuvenate my energy and feel actually more energized through the breathing practice, rather than, depleted as you would when you're sprinting and you're puffing and panting. And so, yeah, it's very relevant. And my next question for you is how we can incorporate some of these tools and this information about how our breath operates, the breath mechanics that you talk about, how we can utilize that to expand our life, to increase our vitality, to go, if we're aiming for longevity and wellness and well-being in our total experience of the human life, and maybe beyond 100 years, how do we consistently practice? And is it possible that the breath can enable us to really expand our life in that way?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this I would just draw on, there's this phenomenal book called Breath by James Nestor. And if anyone hasn't read it, I'd really highly recommend going in and finding that book, because it's just a wealth of knowledge. And what he actually points to is this really big cohort study that was done back in the 80s, but it was a big number of people, and it was across all different cultures, different populations, different age groups, different sex. And what they found was it wasn't genetics, it wasn't diet. The number one predictor of longevity was actually lung capacity. So having the ability to take bigger, better breaths and having that expanded lung capacity actually led to a better, healthier, a longer life, more longevity. And so it is really this access point. And our lung capacity is something that can be trained. It's not what we're born with. Right? We're born with a certain lung capacity, but talk to any free diver. We can really train our lung capacity. We can expand it. And what they've shown is that better lung capacity, longer life. And there is an old sort of saying in the Eastern principles that you're born with a number of breaths, right? And so the length of your life is dictated by the way that you take those breaths. So I think that's a nice way to think about. Maybe you've been given a finite amount of breaths, and if you're wasting them, if you're taking 20, 25 breaths a minute, you're going to run out of breaths quickly. It's wear and tear. Like the same way that we use our body, if you're overusing it, if you're being inefficient, if you're just running it into the ground, it's not going to last very long. Every breath you take is like a repetition, right? And so in a simple sense, if you take 20 breaths a minute or you take 10 breaths a minute, there's a very big difference in how long that's going to last. And it is something that we can train. We can learn to breathe a little bit less, a little bit more efficiently. And that will lead to a longer, happier, healthier life.
I love it. I love it. I've also got the book here. I've been reading it recently. Breathe, James Nestor. He says on the back, no matter what you eat, no matter how much you exercise, doesn't matter how young or wise you are, none of it matters if you're not breathing properly. So just to reiterate what Campbell said, how important it is to focus on conscious breathing, expanding our lungs. You can expand your life. It becomes an expanded way of living, which sounds amazing. I know for me, I feel restricted and limited most of my life when I don't have options, and it's not, and I feel stuck, and I'm in this like little hole where there's nowhere else to go, and there's no other choices. Can't travel, or I can't go to this place, or I can't eat this type of food or see these types of people and connect with my friends. And I feel limited, but to really know that I can expand my perspective by expanding my breath, by going deeper within myself, is an amazing tool to open up not just my body, my physical structure, but also my mind and my mental capacity to be able to think beyond what is right in front of me, but the possibilities of tapping into this creative potential of, hey, let's connect on this amazing technological advancements that we've created and be on opposite sides of the world and have a conversation about breathwork when I'm in Cairns and you're in New York, and we still can bond and have that relationship, and we can actually share this conversation with many people. It's actually a wonderful gift, the breath, and how it can open my eyes and my experience, what I'm noticing. And so I want to invite you guys also to join us next week. We're going to do a Thursday free guided breathwork journey on Zoom. Maybe Campbell, you want to just tell us a little bit more about that, what people can experience, particularly for those who have maybe never done breathwork before, or maybe those who have done a lot of breathwork. What's the benefits going to be, and why is it important?
Yeah, I'd love to. The way I'd like to explain it or create that invitation to people, even if you've never done it or even if you do it every day, one thing I've learned is that every time I dive into a breath session, something different happens. Like people often ask me like, well, you've been doing this for years now, don't you get a little bit bored? And I'm like, no, because every time I do it, something different happens. I have a different insight. I have different feelings, sensations, emotions. It really is this dynamic, moving, just adapting process. And so I'd encourage you, even if you do have your own practice and you do practice regularly, come and join us. I really like to meld sort of East and West, science and philosophy, breath and body, to give everyone a real experience. So I would love this to be an invitation to people to see, like, what is breathwork? What does it do? What is all the hype about? Because I can almost guarantee if you come and join, you're going to have an experience. And I hope that you would like to come back and re-experience that over and over. So it's an opportunity for those that maybe don't have their own practice, just to come and be led, be guided. Let me do the work. I provide the guidelines. I'll provide the motivation, and you've just got to come and breathe. So it's a really wonderful opportunity. And sort of what you were touching on before, Shay, it just sparked something in my mind that so many things have been taken away in the last sort of 12 months for people, and travel being one of them, and exploring. And I've sort of come to this concept of, instead of exploring the external landscapes, we can go on a little journey and then explore the internal landscapes, your mindscape, your heartscape, your bodyscape. And so breathwork is this wonderful doorway. All right, we might not be able to go to the places that we want to go to see the people we want to see. So why not create another avenue of exploration and then explore inside? It doesn't have to be a quiet, still meditative practice. You can really go on this journey and explore those internal landscapes. And it's something that's been a really beneficial tool for me over the past sort of 12 months, is having that option of, when I do feel frustrated that I can't go and do what I want to do, I can dive into a breath session and go on a bit of a journey inwards.
Yes, I love that so much, man. Journeying deeper within. It's like all of this is divinely created for our growth and for our evolution, for our, expanded awareness. It's like this was meant, how it was meant to be. This is an amazing opportunity to practice going deeper within. And there's always a lot of resistance, even for me, to jump into a breathwork session. As much as I love and I know and intellectually how beneficial it is for me, it can be a little bit scary sometimes, because this, I explore what's really going on.
Yes.
What's really happening inside. And just to be present with that is sometimes, a little bit sad, or a little bit scary, or, a little bit uncertain, because there's so much that is happening in here that I have no idea, no awareness of what is actually going on. And yet it's all functioning for me. My liver is detoxifying my body constantly, and I'm not even thinking about it, but it's happening for me. My heart is pumping blood and oxygen all around my body, and so much more, and I don't even have to think about it. There's so much happening without my awareness in my body that is so unknown, and there's so many little elements to my physical structure that is unknown to me. And so just to be humble and step into that level of humility of within my own being by going deeper within is transformational journey on its own self. So
it really is. And I think that's a really nice, one thing I will say, that you just touched on a beautiful point. Sometimes it's a little bit scary. Sometimes there is a little bit of fear, like, do I want to do this thing that maybe is going to bring up some emotion, bring up some tension? So I say to the people, to anyone that feels maybe there is a bit of resistance, they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to dive in. That's what the invitation is there for. And that's why it's a great idea to do it with the facilitator. I'm there with you. I've done this hundreds, if not thousands of times with people from all different walks of life. So rather than sort of facing that fear on your own, join us, join the community, and allow yourself to maybe look at the shadow, look at the lens that perhaps you've been avoiding. And that might be in a physical sensation, that might be emotion, that might be mental. But it is an opportunity that if you don't explore those things, they will come up in one way or the other. So I think consciously diving into them with a bit of intention and with a bit of support from a community is the best way to do it. So I hear you. If you feel a little bit resistant, if you feel a bit, I don't know if it's for me, I don't want to look in the shadow, I don't want to look in the corner. You do. And consciously looking for it and accessing it and shining the light on it is much better than letting it just pop up where it's going to pop up.
You're totally right, man. And yeah, that's such a good point. One thing I've noticed to share on that topic is when I resist looking into the corners, that is when the corners persist and they keep coming back stronger and stronger and stronger. And then I realize, okay, well, I need to look at this. I need to face this. And this is all just elements of myself. And so Thanks so much for sharing. Thanks you guys for watching. Again, if you got value out of this and you want to join, please click subscribe or register through the link that I've sent in the comment section. You can also get access to a lot of amazing videos from Campbell on Earth Heroes TV. So if you just jump over to Earth Heroes TV and you use the link provided, you'll get great access to a lot of really great breathwork videos by Campbell. So what I'll do is I'll just drop that in the comments section as well. So if you guys wanted just to check it out, that is a free 7-day trial. And yeah, just join us on this journey. We can do it together. We've got plenty of support, plenty of amazing people who are willing to be a part of this journey that is one of journeying within. So I just want to thank you for watching. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next week. You got anything left to say, Campbell?
Yeah, I just want to mirror everything you said, and I like to warn people that breathwork is a gateway drug. It's going to open that level of awareness, that sense of wanting to learn a little bit more about yourself, about your body, and it's this perfect stepping stone. So I invite people to start that journey. Join us next week, get a taste of what it's all about, but be prepared that it will probably open up a couple of doors for you and start that inward journey.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode and for listening to this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this series, and if you'd like to listen to the full episode and get more conscious content online, tune into our online video platform at earthheroestv.com. Hope you have a great day, guys, and a huge love from me, and see you next time.